Let's go to Ross Greenwood, our business editor. No big surprises there, but this is really laying some markers ahead of this budget, isn't it, Ross? I always find it really interesting as a selling point. You know, Josh Frydenberg saying there, more Australians are in jobs than ever before. Well, you'd hope so with population growth, wouldn't you?
Well, the fact of the matter is you don't have any population growth, as you know, at the moment, Laura. And so as a result of that, there are jobs around the place that otherwise might have gone to people who had come in from overseas. There's a skilled labour shortage in Australia right now, which is seeing some employers having to raise the wages that they're paying to their workers in order to hang on to them or indeed to attract them to their business. Now, the interesting part about this is what Josh Frydenberg there is really exhorting business to do, is to get out there and invest and to spend and to create even more jobs. Now, the reason why he needs to do this is because if the government is ever to withdraw its economic support of Australia, it needs the private sector to step up in a big way. The private sector also has got to see that it's got an ability to make a profit for any money that's it's investing, or indeed that somehow it's got a hand from the government to be able to encourage it to invest. This is the reason why around the budget this year, just keep an eye on investment allowances and tax deductions for large-scale investment programs. These are the types of things that will give business that confidence and, as a result, create the jobs that Josh Frydenberg wants. He now wants an unemployment rate with a 4 in front of it, not a 5 in front of it, as they'd previously said.
Is that doable?
Look, I think it's doable, but do bear in mind that even before we had gone into the recession, before coronavirus hit, the unemployment rate, as he admits, was 5.1%. The last time we had a 4 in front of the unemployment rate was during the iron ore mining boom back in 2011. Now, at that time, there was a skilled shortage, labour shortage, especially in Western Australia. You saw the boom in Western Australia, but a subsequent bust. Right now, even though we do have iron ore prices at record levels, and that's propping up the budget, the Australian budget, in a massive way. There are hundreds of billions of dollars coming into the budget right now as a result of the iron ore boom. And it's been happening not just for 1 year, but it's been happening for several years now. But what's happening is that there is no significant growth in the development. We're not seeing gas plants built. We're not seeing the mines being built again or developed now. And really, this is one reason why we're not seeing wages inflation blowing out as much as what many people might have feared.
Indeed, and this seems to be a central political point. Labor's really warming up to have a go at the government on underemployment and slow wages growth. Rather than, artificially intervening at a government level, how do you push up wages?
Well, you simply try and create more jobs. The real issue here is about borders, about when borders will be open, when Australia really feels as though it feels capable of opening the borders up to people from overseas, where the risk of another breakout of coronavirus is so significant to our national economy, whether the government is going to be conservative about that until enough of the vaccinations have got through into people, which is also another reason why the government has got to maintain confidence in those vaccinations. So all of this plays out in an economic narrative that you can see here for the government. They really need business to be confident. They need them to be really spending money to invest to create the jobs so that the borders can be opened ultimately to create even more labour opportunities as skilled labour comes into Australia from overseas. But to do that, you've got to be confident that you're not bringing more outbreaks of coronavirus that could damage the economy. So it is a balancing act for the economy. And it's one reason why Josh Frydenberg there, I sense, is saying that the pandemic is not over and that the government will continue to support the economy along with the Reserve Bank, remember, that is keeping these interest rates so close to zero.
Yeah, and indeed, the Reserve Bank seems very determined to keep those interest rates as low as they are until at least 2024, and they keep on reiterating that. In the meantime, it's fueling the housing market. Other bright spots we see, well, the housing market isn't a bright spot if you're a first home buyer, I must say, but other bright spots are in iron ore and some of those big spending measures in the last budget 8 months ago that didn't end up being taken up, if you like.
No, well, that's right. And the reason for that is that in many cases, people didn't really require the support of the government. So there's more money that the government has got. But do bear in mind that the government has also got some costs that it's going to incur in this budget upcoming. One of those is the offset allowance, the tax offset allowance. So this is the $1,080. It goes to people who earn up to around $120,000 a year. It tapers off. So this is worth about $7 billion. It wasn't really in previous budgets. But to be frank, because the government's position is so strong as compared with where they expect it to be right now, this is the reason why they have the spare cash to be able to spend on these types of areas. It's a reason why, say, for example, aged care and childcare will no doubt be centrepieces of it. Childcare as well also is a centrepiece, mainly because if the government wants to get more women into the workforce, they've got to provide the childcare places, subsidised childcare places, to make certain that you can get as many people on the paddock as you possibly can. And I think this is really a part of trying to make certain that while our borders are closed and we don't have skilled labourers, that we get as many Australians in work as possibly they can to pay their taxes and to make certain they're coming off income support from the federal government.
Oh, geez, it's a complicated puzzle to put together. It'll be a budget like no other. Are you expecting any big surprises here? Or, you know, we usually see a lot of budget leaks before every budget these days, so there simply isn't surprises on the day, Ross.
Look, I'm not certain there are going to be terribly many. I think we know kind of the structure of the budget as it stands. We know about child care support. We know about aged care support. We know a little about some of the business support that will be there and be ongoing. They could very well spring one surprise, and that is if the budget's in good shape, they could bring forward already mandated tax cuts. We know they're not going to fiddle with superannuation. They're going to roll out the increase in superannuation contributions. So these things are already pretty much known. And of course, what we don't quite know is just how much money the government is going to have in excess of what was there in December last year when MyUFO came out, but also then just how big the national debt is going to be. And quite clearly, we're still going to be in significantly better shape than most other countries around the world.
Yes, indeed. And that comparison, no doubt, will be made time after time by the government after
There's
this
no doubt
budget.
about that.
Ross Greenwood,
So true.
It's a pleasure to talk to you. Thanks so much.
No problems, Laura.